teenagers in the world. So I flew them out to Miami to spend a day together and learn exactly how they made their millions. And this first kid became a millionaire at just 16. Here's how. My boy, good to see you.
What's up, man? Nice to meet you.
Hey, so first off, how old are you and how do you make your money?
All right, so I just turned 16 and I make my money with Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, and all these platforms.
So break that down a little bit. You make money on all those platforms, but how do you actually do it?
I create content on celebrities, on news. I make satisfying videos as well. And I just create engaging videos on unique stories every day using a team. And we just pump like 10 videos out a day on multiple accounts.
And what's the most you made in a month from doing this?
In a month, the most we've generated on even one account is roughly $600,000.
$600,000 at 15 years old.
Yeah, I did that when I was 15.
What was your parents' reaction to you making $600,000 at 15?
Yeah, so I showed them the dashboard the first second I actually saw the revenue, and they didn't believe it was real. They thought I faked the numbers on my screen, so they made me refresh it a bunch of times, but they think it's really insane.
Is it possible to show us some of the numbers on your phone? Because, you know, people gonna be watching this like, ain't no way this kid is making this money.
So in 8 days on one of my shows, I've made 40 grand so far in September, which is pretty cool.
So break that down a little bit. You're talking about Snapchat shows.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know what that is. So what is a Snapchat show and how do you make money off of that?
So a Snapchat show is basically something that pops up on the discovery page when you go on the platform. The way you can make money is strictly through ad revenue. So when you post your video, the advertisers from Snapchat will pay you a CPM just like YouTube does.
And how many videos are you guys putting out every day?
So we have roughly 9 to 10 shows and we put out a video a day on each show.
And at this point, you're not doing any of the editing. You just come up with the ideas or you don't even do that anymore?
So at the beginning, I was doing all the work, editing, my partner would script write and all that stuff. But eventually we started hiring out people as we started to build more capital. But we basically have a team running everything for us now.
You're still in high school?
I dropped out of high school. I just dropped out like 3 weeks ago.
Is there any last thing you would say to a young kid that is inspired by your story but feels like you have something that they don't have?
8 months ago, I was making less than $1,000 a month, and in my first month of doing a business model that worked, I made over $600,000. So you're right around the corner from making it. You just need to keep throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Let's go see who we talk to next.
So I'm the biggest sneaker supplier in all of Miami.
Hey, so how'd you actually get started in the sneaker game?
So I started off buying shoes off regular kids. Back then I used to camp outside stores and I would have to pay off managers and stuff. But I worked my way up to the point where now I have over 20 stores across the US that when they get inventory, they give it to me instead.
What was the first like big flip you made with sneakers?
I mean, I made like $50 flips and I was like 14 at the time, so 50 bucks lasted me a while. I would say the first big flip was the Off-White UNCs. I got like 5-6 pairs. I made I think $1,200 on each, and at the time that was insane.
Nowadays, you the plug for all the biggest guys out there. Can you
Sir.
break down some of the people that you've actually sold shoes to?
Yeah, I've sold shoes to Kai, Jamie Foxx, DJ Khaled, Kabi, you know, the guy that goes like this, Jorge Masvidal. I've linked up with Balvin. Everyone that comes into Miami and has a performance, let's say at Live or something, the club owner will connect me to these artists, and that's kind of my way into getting with them, you know?
How are you able to connect with these celebrity people?
I sit home and I research and I see who are their friends, who is their managers, what label are they with, and I slowly kind of creep my way into the circle, you know what I mean? And it's work, because like with Kai, I knew Kai's friend's friend, became homies with his friend, and then worked my way up until eventually I sold kicks to Kai. So it's hard work, but if you really dedicate yourself to it, you can do it.
I see you got some shoes here on the table. Maybe you could break those down real quick.
These are the Off-White Chicagos. I think the valuation for each is about 6 or 7 grand, which is insane for a pair of sneakers. Dior Jordan 1s, extremely limited. They go for about 10 grand a pair.
From making that first $50 flip to today, like how much do you bring in per month now selling shoes?
I would say about 100 to 150,000 in revenue.
Wow. How much money in your lifetime do you think you've spent on shoes?
I can't even put a number on that. At least 6-7 million.
Were you good at school?
Bro, I was awful in school. I had a 1.4 GPA. I failed math. I failed French. I failed Spanish. I failed majority of the classes that I took. Although I'm not against school, I believe that if you're good in school and you want to focus on it, I think you should absolutely go for it. I want to show kids out there that even though if you're failing school and even though if you don't have the best grades and whatever the case may be, you have potential. Everybody has a deep potential that you just have to reach. And if you work every single day to reach your full potential, you can do it with or without school.
Maybe I'm gonna have to buy some shoes off you, man.
Let's get it.
I definitely didn't get rich as fast as the kids in this video, but I did make my first million online at just 19 years old. And since then, I've sold millions of dollars worth of products online and even sold my brand last year for a life-changing amount. So if you wanna learn exactly how I did that, see the products I sold, the store I built, the ads that I ran, I created a full case study that breaks down everything for just $1. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to create something that was better than all the other courses out there, but accessible to literally everyone. So if you're a teenager or an adult watching this video and you want to start your own business, this is a full blueprint that will walk you through everything you need to know. So if you want access to that, it's only going to cost you $1, literally less than a cup of coffee. You can get access to this at the link down below in the description. But for now, we're going to go meet up with this kid who I think has the coolest job in the world. Let's go talk to him. So how old are you and how do you make your money?
I'm 19 and I make my money from software.
Okay, so tell them about this software that you built.
So if you've seen any of the AI Drake or AI Kanye stuff on the internet, you may be wondering how that's done. Well, we built a software for it. It's called Musicfy. You go to the site, upload a song, vocals, whatever it is, and you can switch it to any voice you want.
How long ago did you launch this, and now how many users do you guys have using this every month?
Yeah, so we launched it 5 months ago, and it now has over 1.3 million users, and we're growing pretty quickly, like gaining 200,000 to 300,000 new users every month.
What type of money does something like that make?
Yeah, we make like 4 to 5K most days.
That's crazy, just for starting 5 months ago. So did you build this with your own money, or are you raising money from investors?
So originally when we started out 5 months ago, it was just me on my computer in my basement, just working on it. And then we started making lots of money. And now it's at a point where we can raise like $2 to $3 million to scale it quicker.
And you already got investors ready to put money in on this.
Exactly. We're talking to a bunch of really big people in the music space. So if you're big in music and you want to invest in some cool tech, hit us up.
Maybe you could give us a little demo of the app and show us how it works.
So right now we're basically going on YouTube. So we're taking this song, Hey There Delilah, and we're gonna go to our site, upload it, and we're gonna select SpongeBob as our artist, and we're gonna convert it. And it's gonna take a second.
So you're telling me that this is gonna change the vocals of the song from these guys to SpongeBob?
You worry about the distance, I'm right there. If you get lonely, give this song another listen, close your eyes.
Bro, this is funny as hell.
Yeah.
What would somebody actually use this for? Like, are people using this just to make funny videos, or is there an actual use for this tool?
Let's say I'm a male singer and now I want female vocals in my song. Normally I'll have to hire a vocalist, pay for studio time, then pay them royalties for every single stream. But now imagine, as a male singer,
I can just convert my voice into a female singer.
Lately we just launched a voice to instrument tool, so if you want to like make the sound of an instrument, you can just hum anything and convert it into an instrument as well.
Gotcha, so it's really a tool for artists to make music better.
By the way, I have a friend that I brought from London, the youngest millionaire that I know, crazy kid, flying in private jets at like 15. So if you want to meet him, you can go chat with him right now.
He's upstairs?
He's upstairs. Let's do
Okay,
it.
let's go, come on. So, how old are you, bro, and how do you make your money?
I'm currently 18, and I made the vast majority of my money, I think, from dropshipping, just reinvesting it all into crypto. So I'm known as like the crypto kid. I think crypto is probably the main thing I'm known for.
When did you actually become a millionaire from crypto?
So I think I passed that benchmark at around like 16 years old. I think I can safe to say at 16 years old, it was like the first time I saw like $1 million in like profits from everything I've done. So it was like, it's quite a momentous occasion, but I feel like 100K for me was a grander benchmark. You know, when I hit 100K, it was like, oh, I'm actually onto something compared to 1 million.
What age did you make 100K at?
12.
No way, bro, you're lying.
12, 13, I don't know exactly the age, but I did it through dropshipping.
Do you remember what you sold back in the day to make your first 100K?
Like, I did the mistake all the like beginner dropshippers do. They're like, oh, I'm gonna start a clothing store, I'm gonna start selling watches. But I think my successful hit was when I did collapsible flask. So I did like those bottles would like collapse down, and that was quite a big hit.
Bro, but at 12 years old, most people is just playing Fortnite or just getting really heavy into like watching YouTube, TikTok. Like, nobody's really starting businesses. What made you want to start a business at 12 years old? How did you even have that foresight?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was the same. Like, I can't slander everyone who plays Fortnite. Like, I was playing Fortnite at that age too. It's just in my other extra times, like I like discovering new things, right? So then, at the age of like 7 and 8, I was like 3D printing phone cases and like selling them to my friends. And even though that was like a business, I would say it was like the first time I tried something. I like getting into like that creative sense where like the sense of you create a whole company and you actually provide utility and create something. Even though dropshipping isn't like providing utility per se, I like the sense I accomplished something, you know?
How do you turn 100,000 from dropshipping to over $1 million in crypto while still in middle school? Like, how do you do that, bro?
Like early 2018, I think I got Bitcoin around like the 2,000 to price level, and I got Ethereum maybe like $200, $300. I do believe the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that funnel the funds from previous business into new business. Like, so for me, I like that mindset. Like, you know, every time I enter a new business venture, I funnel in my existing funds to the next thing, and I just, you know, leverage it. So while I do, maybe I spend on watches and stuff. And
How much you got in watches?
I don't know. I got a decent collection. That's all I'll say. I got a couple Rolexes and one AP and stuff. But yeah, I like my watches. I like timepieces. I can drive. I mean, I would get cars, but I need to get my license first. So we'll see with my car collection in the future. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the vast majority of my luxury spending, and maybe traveling too, because I have to go different destinations and meet different people.
You be flying private?
Occasionally, like the close destinations.
Did you go to high school? Did you finish school?
Yes, I finished high school. I'm in the UK. We have like a different system, but I finished my A levels, and now I'm applying to colleges. So yeah.
Why are you gonna go to college if you've already made millions of dollars?
For me, I know from the statistics I've seen and from the people I've asked, there is no better network in the world than the college network.
So what are you building now?
For me now, I'm working in the game development space. This is just it's just like a circular arena PvP game. These are two very popular memes.
So the way you make money with a game like this is because people want to get the new characters. So they're gonna spend money and spend time trying to get those characters.
Exactly.
For a broke teenager watching this video right now, what is the best way for them to go out and make money?
I genuinely believe if you have internet access, you can become successful. I feel like my biggest piece of advice is, of course, perseverance, but that's more generic. The learning stage is, key. A lot of people think they can learn, in depth on the topic from TikTok or like YouTube Shorts, but no, I feel like you need long-form content and articles that really research the topic. And that's like the knowledge stage, and then there's the experience stage where you try starting your business. But that's the one thing, a lot of people are so close to success, but they stop because on their first business they give up. I feel like it depends on how broke you are. If you generally don't have any cash, then still honestly like freelancing jobs are the best. Like if you're good at like digital graphic design, you can freelance on like Fiverr or Upwork, or you can just do traditional work like lawn mowing, and you can probably make like a decent cash from it, and you can funnel those into dropshipping businesses. Yeah. So this has been really fun. Thank you so much, Jordan, once again. Remember everyone to subscribe to Jordan. He has the most informative content on YouTube I've seen by a long shot. So if you're just trying to hustle and trying to make it in life, I think Jordan is the first stop to go.
We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Look, I was 19 years old with 400,000.
Do not pay somebody to build you a Shopify store, because I'm going to do it free with 20 handpicked products by myself and my expert team and professionally written ads.
This 19-year-old is making millions per year reselling sneakers. So I spent a couple days with him to learn exactly how he did it. We're here right now at Hype Miami, one of the fastest growing sneaker stores in the city. And it's actually owned by these guys, Marcus and Yuri. How old are you guys?
I'm 19. I'm 24.
And how much did this business generate last year?
So last year, my business personally generated about $4 million, and
I'm right under that at 3.5.
Yeah.
Is that all from this retail store?
No, so before this, we actually did bulk selling of these sneakers and clothing. So what we would do is we would sell to stores like this all across America, actually internationally as well.
And now you got one of the biggest stores in the city, so let's go check it out.
Let's do it.
So we're surrounded by thousands of dollars worth of shoes right now. When did you guys actually start selling shoes?
So we only merged actually recently. So I started around like 2017, about 5 years ago.
And I started around 2018.
Got you. And what was the beginning process like getting into the sneaker game?
So getting into the sneaker game was actually pretty, I would say, long process before I got anywhere, right? I started pretty small. The only reason I got into just selling things online was actually my parents. They kind of told me that I needed to either get a job or do something with my summer, and they basically forced me to sell all the stuff around the house. You know, I realized that it wasn't really interesting for me to sell my parents' old stuff. I wanted to sell things that I actually enjoyed, and at that time it was sneakers. The way I mostly in the beginning started scaling my business was really through like social media, like Instagram. I would say the biggest turning point in my business would have been COVID. There was a ton of sales that I was able to take advantage of from websites, and also a ton of end consumers were shopping exclusively online. So that boosted a lot of the prices and the sales for all these sneakers.
Now 2 years later, you guys are doing pretty insane volume, right? How many shoes would you say you're selling a year? Do you know that number?
Selling a year, I want to say last year upwards of maybe 20,000 units last year, maybe something like that.
That's insane.
Just last year.
How do you actually acquire the shoes? A lot of people are going to see a room like this. Like, how are they getting the connections? How are they picking up all these shoes at a price? How do you do that part of the business?
So you obviously have to source the more exclusive stuff and more quantity from other sellers as well. I can put it on my Instagram story, I need this, and people will, respond all the time with product for sale. I would say even sourcing it from sneaker conventions. So sneaker conventions is a big thing. We want to do that more so now that we have a store, because we're able to source very specific things. So we're actually going to a sneaker event soon in San Francisco, SneakerCon Bay Area. So
you should come. Yeah, we'll tag along with you guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think we should actually give away a pair to one of the viewers so they could get started in their reselling journey. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Which one would be the best one for us to give away?
This one for sure.
What are those?
Panda Dunks is the classic shoe. Everyone needs a pair of these, but I think this would be great to help anyone get started.
How much you think they can sell them for?
Probably around like 200, 250, something like that.
Easy. Well, look, if you guys want to join that giveaway, make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow Hype Miami on Instagram, follow my Instagram, and drop a comment down below. But for now, let's head to SneakerCon.
Do it.
We made it to SneakerCon. So what's the goal today? What are we looking for, and how much are we going to be spending?
Well, hopefully my goal is to spend about 20, 30,000 between today and tomorrow. Looking for the best sellers right now for the store and wholesale.
Well, look, let's walk around and maybe talk about some of the things that people should be looking for if they're trying to get into reselling.
Let's do it. So we're in the trading pit right now. This is where I started about 5, 6 years ago. It's the best way to make money, you know, flipping sneakers real quick.
How much money do you think you need to get started in reselling today?
Honestly, with shoes being a low ticket item, I would say $500 is a great start. You can buy one, maybe even a few pairs and get yourself going. So the way these events kind of work is back in the trading pit, it's more used, not as much variety. So the prices, you can be able to get some steals in there. Tables is when the prices become a little bit higher, but you can still negotiate with them if you're taking a decent amount of product.
And of course, you got the people walking around.
Yeah. So a lot of times at these events, you don't really know the market value of everything off the top of your head. So you got to check apps like StockX and Go to check the market value.
What are you looking at there?
All right, I just noticed, for example, the Paisley Dunks. So if I'm looking at them on StockX, you know, on average, they're going for around 175 to 200, you know. So if I can purchase them in the 160 to 170 margin, be good for me.
You want to go for it?
Let's try it out. How you doing, boss? How much are you asking on the Paisleys? 200? Okay, yeah, I'd probably be a little lower to take them all. Probably like 160, 165. 180.
Always got to compare.
There's hundreds of shoes, it's hard to know the market, especially because it changes too. All right, I mean, I'd be able to do best like 170 on the Paisleys, and I'd probably be at like 175 on the Valerians. Oh yeah, let's do it. 175 on first deal of the day.
Bro, what the hell are those shoes up here? I've never seen those before. Those are crazy.
CPFM. What are those going for now? 2,000. Yeah. Crazy. Most shoes like that are tough for beginners, I would say, because it's really hard to get a margin on those. So I recommend starting with stuff that moves quicker. I'd rather spend 2,000 on 10 pairs of shoes than 2,000 on one pair of shoes.
So how many pairs would you buy, and how much in total is that going to cost you?
So we just picked the 10 pairs at 175 each, so it's about 1,750.
Damn, you bought 10.
All right, let's get it.
Let's do it. So how long do you think it'll take you to move these?
All of these would probably sell within a month or two.
How much do you think you'll be able to sell each pair for in your shop?
So in our shop, we have a lot better margins, obviously. We would probably put them anywhere from 250 to 300.
This table was empty only 15 minutes ago.
Got it.
Oh, so you spent thousands of dollars today so far, right? Most people coming to these conferences, though, they don't have that type of money to spend. So if you were coming here with a couple $100, what's something that you would buy?
Oh, actually, this guy just came here and sold us a size 10 350, easy. So
how much did those cost?
These were 300.
Got you.
So I would say it's a pretty good deal. And you want to see if we can sell it here?
Yeah, let's try to flip it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's see what we can do. All right, so to make this more interesting, you've got 10 minutes to get this off.
Yeah, you buy? Size 10. Onyx. 350? Yeah.
We got a bunch of it.
What you at? 320? 330? 320? All right, let's do it.
Sold already?
How far are we in?
In 1 minute.
Appreciate it. There we go.
This man just speed ran flipping shoes.
Yeah, why not? We bought it for 300, sold it for 320, so not a crazy margin, but like you said, it was in a minute, so yeah. Why not?
Literally, he's not lying, by the way. So from here, you would go back and you would try to find something else and just keep flipping your way up.
That's how, like I said, that's how I started, you know? You get that $20 profit, you have 320 to work with, buy another shoe for 300.
So after a couple hours, we got all these shoes right here. Break down some of the best pickups of the day and how much you're gonna make from all these.
So I personally like this one right here, the Argan Dunks. Picked them up for about $130 a pair. But in general, all this was around $6,000 total. And if I were to put it in my store, I would sell it for around $9,000.
$3,000 profit
Yeah,
in a
so
couple hours. And you guys make money in a bunch of different ways. What's the biggest way that you guys make money at your business?
So I would say wholesale is definitely number one. Like, you know, we're gonna make a couple thousand on this, but it's gonna take a few months, you know, to sell all this, right? But in wholesale deals, we're able to buy a lot in bulk at once and flip it right away and make a big profit up front.
What's the biggest wholesale order that you guys have ever done?
It's funny you asked that, 'cause we actually have one of the biggest we've ever done coming up this Monday. So I figured I'd invite you out. If you want to come, check it out, see how it's done.
Show them the behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Okay, bet, let's do it. I'll let you get back to shopping, and I'll see you out there.
We got almost 10,000 pieces of clothing about to be delivered here very shortly. Basically, just going to be unboxing it here at the Airbnb, sorting it by style, and then packing it for all our clients that we pre-sold it to.
And if you're open to sharing, how much did it cost you to buy this 10,000 units?
So it's, I can't say the exact number, but it's definitely a couple $100,000, I can say that.
And we got to get it all done today?
Yes, sir. In this business, sometimes it's tough. I haven't even touched a single piece of the product, but I have to send most of the money up front. So this is one of the few wires that I'm going to be sending out. 150,000 sent, wired out.
How much did you just send?
That's not even all of it. That's like less than half of it. So
you're crazy, man.
Yeah, I haven't even, as you can see, we don't even have the product yet. So
package still not here, but we're getting prepped, right? Tell them about what we've been doing.
Yeah, we've been, for the past few hours, we've been hitting U-Haul, UPS, Home Depot. We got about 150 boxes. Yeah, they said the truck's on the way now though, so I think we should be good to go.
Man, I'm excited. We literally been waiting 6 hours, but the truck just got here, and now we're gonna go check it all out. How does this side of the business even work? Like, how could you, without saying too much, like, how could you even get to the point where you're able to get these type of deals?
Yeah, I think it definitely takes a lot of experience, I would say. I mean, no one's just, you know, entering some business and, you know, being able to do all this. Number one, the capital to even, you know, front the money up front, some of it at least, as well as the connections. You know, you gotta have experience to make the connections, to be able to meet the people that can offer you this kind of stuff, and the connections to meet the people that you can sell this kind of stuff to. It's one thing to get the offer and buy it, but it's another to actually sell it all.
Yeah, definitely. This is wild. We got about 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of work, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, let's get it.
Let's get it done. Come on. It is 3 in the morning, and these guys are literally still out here getting that work in.
Someone's gotta do it.
I'm going back to bed. I'm not built for this. Hey, so you pulled an all-nighter, but you got it done, right?
You got it all done.
Got all the boxes packed. Look, man, 5 years ago when you first got into this game, could you imagine seeing yourself doing literally multi-six-figure orders of merchandise and clothing? Like, is this something that you always saw?
Nah, definitely not. I mean, when I started, it was just like to fund my sneaker habit. I just wanted some extra money to get some cool kicks.
Well, now with the business at this level, if you could go back to yourself 5 years ago, just getting started, what would you say to get here a little faster?
Honestly, I would probably create more of a brand for myself. You know, I was always focused on just like making money and hustling. That I think this, you know, is really important, just like content and all that kind of stuff, and you know, documenting the journey, because people really like that, and I think it would do well for my, you know, my brand.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're on your way, bro, and to see this business that you built is super inspiring. So, guys, make sure to follow Marcus's brand down below in the description, and the full instructions for our giveaway are going to be down there as well. That's all we got for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one.
With Uber Pool, when you share the ride, you share the savings.
If you want to make money online as an affiliate marketer, you may find this a little bit controversial.
It got scary. We had to move into a higher security building, and I didn't know what to do. That's when it got dark.
Casey Neistat, the godfather of YouTube, the king of vlogging.
One of the most prolific creators in history. Throughout your story, there's this objectively delusional persistence towards a goal.
The word I've been using is patience, because patience is so unattractive. And I think you need to remove this idea of success being this romantic, beautiful thing. It's not. When I started my daily vlog, making a video a day, 800 days in a row, it took 8 years to go from 0 to a couple 100,000 subscribers, failing year in and year out. And I was $200,000 in debt. It's awful. You're a loser. But patience will smash into opportunity. And then it went to 10 million subscribers in like 18 months. So in life, you can get whatever you want, but are you willing to do that for 20 years? If you're not, don't bother, man.
You've sold the company, you've built the channels, you've made a huge name for yourself. At that point,
that's when it got hard, because the only goal that anyone should have in life is one of happiness and fulfillment. And like this idea that you have to win to be happy could not be further from the truth. I had by every definition achieved success, but I wasn't running the marathon because I wanted to get across the finish line. I was running it because I loved the running. And the fame was insane. Like we had to move to LA and I didn't know what to do until now.
Is this a new Casey? What can we expect? Casey is a legend. He's a legend to so many people. He's one of the originals as it relates to creativity, content, video, and YouTube. And although most of us know Casey, what most of us don't know is the underdog story, the true, deep, uncovered motivations that drove him to become arguably one of the world's most famous, most acclaimed, most celebrated online creators ever. And it's a story that you'll relate to. It's a story of a completely normal dude that was down and out, that had a very big, indistinguishable passion. And the more interesting, maybe for me as someone that's watched Casey's journey from afar, is what he's doing now. For the first time ever, he talks about what his life is right now. Now that he's not uploading videos every day. Now that he's a little bit further out of the spotlight. And Casey gives us this blueprint for how we can take that thing that we enjoy doing, that thing we consider a passion or a hobby, and drag it up the mountain and make it an incredibly lucrative job. How do we turn our passion into a career? And how do we become number one at the thing we do? When everything seems to be against us. That is the story of Casey Neistat, and that's the story you're going to enjoy today. Before this episode starts, the one favor I'll ask, if you enjoy what...
It was like, be home before dark or you're going to be in trouble. Trouble never being defined, and like dark never being defined. And it was just kind of like a very loose, kind of fucked up, wandering childhood of exploration. You know, like I was telling this story recently, but there were railroad tracks behind our house. And one of the things we used to do for fun, we were little kids, is we'd collect pennies and change and we'd lay them on the railroad tracks and the train would go over them and flatten them. Very cool. But the train would vibrate the tracks as it approached and the coins would fall off of it. So the only way to address that is you'd put the coins on the train tracks when the train was really close. So, I don't know. I was in grammar school, which is 6th grade. Like, how old are you then? I was like 10 years old. It's a little kid. And like, train track, huge freight train coming and me putting nickels on the train tracks to try to get a flattened coin. That's kind of what my childhood was like.
As you look back, what is the power and the gift that unsupervision gives you? Because I resonate with that so much. I think the reason I became an entrepreneur was because I've always said this. When I was 10 years old, my parents weren't there when I went to bed and they weren't there when I woke up. And being the youngest of 4, it was like they had assumed I'd also been parented already. So they like gave up or something. They just got busy. So in that void of independence, I conducted a lot of experiments. And I almost hear that in what you're saying as well. That unsupervision allowed for exploration, that allowed for something.
Yeah, I think it's like necessity is the mother of invention. And I think, if you're 10 and your parents all of a sudden are absent, you're just forced to figure shit out. It's funny because like all I want to do as a parent now is protect my children from the hardships I had when I was little. But it is those hardships I had that made me who I am. And it is like this impossible dichotomy to address. It's impossible as a parent. Like I constantly think I'm fucking up my kids. Like we send them to a private school because we can. Like if you can afford it, which we can, we're fortunate. Like why would I not send my kids to the best school? But in the back of my brain, I think what's best for them is to be in some New York City public school figuring it out. Like, I think that's what's best, but I don't do that because I had a terrible time at public school. I hated it. So I want to protect them from that. So I send them to a really fancy school that's lovely and warm and cozy. And like, am I helping them? I don't know. But no, I think that exactly what you were saying, like I had no choice but to figure it out when I was little. Like I worked from like when I was super young, I figured out how to make $1. Like I was a paper boy when I was really, really young, delivering newspapers. And I'd make like $30 a week. And then, you know, when I got to 8th grade and I started smoking pot and I realized like the math behind weed sales. I was like, okay, there's a 400%, a 4x return if you buy quarter ounces and you break them down and you sell them as dime bags. But if you buy a quarter pound and you sell them as eighths, you're looking at a 1,600% return. I was like, okay, so how do I come up with $250 to buy the QP? And then let me break that down. And then like, I haven't hit puberty yet. I'm a little kid. Like these guys are going to beat the shit out of me if I mess with the wrong people. So I need to befriend the guys that can protect me and like figure out that business. All of that was because I didn't have a choice.
Why were you unsupervised? Where were your parents?
And this is what I mean when I say my parents were accidentally great. And I do think they tried their best. You know, like my dad worked a zillion hours a week. He had no choice. I think we lived like a very middle class livelihood. You know, like my parents had like nice cars. They had Volvos, but they always bought like 5-year-old Volvos, never new cars. And like we lived in a house that was like comfortable, but like, you know, there's never any food in our house. It was fine. We always made it by, like, we'd go on vacation, but it was always like in the back of the station wagon and we'd go to like a town 2 hours away and stay in a shitty motel for 2 or 3 nights. But my dad worked all the time. And I only understood later that it was very like hand to mouth, you know, he's paycheck to paycheck kind of guy. And my mother, you know, I still don't understand my mom. I think she was one of 8 kids. My mother is the tail end of an aristocracy. So it's like, I always describe her side of the family as like all the privilege and entitlement of an aristocrat with none of the money. So my mother was just always kind of an enigma and always kind of absent. And I think that they tried the best they could and we were just kind of left wandering as kids.
They divorced at some point?
Yeah, that's when things got really hard.
In what way?
I think that childhood always felt like you were sort of hanging on by a thread. I was like one of 4. My older brother, Van, was the firstborn. And Van is such an incredible guy and he's so magnetic. And then there's my sister, who's the only girl. And then there's my little baby brother, Dean, who was the baby. And then I was just kind of this like accident that happened 13 months after my sister and 2 years before my brother. Like it was just, so it was like I was always the loudest and the squeakiest to get the most attention. And, you know, I kind of think that like characterized what the challenges were for me as a kid growing up. And then it just got, you know, the tumult of living in that house just kind of precipitated until my parents split up, which happened under very like auspicious, shitty, fucked up circumstances and kids being blamed when the kids shouldn't have been blamed. And I say all that without faulting my parents. Again, I think they were trying their best, but looking back at it, it's like, what the fuck, guys?
I heard you say previously that you had to tell your father that your mother had cheated on him.
Yeah, I remember that vividly. Like I can picture the table we were sitting at. I can remember his posture. I can remember his response to it. But yeah, you know, my mother, you know, she's a good woman. She has faults like all of us humans have faults, but I think she let those manifest in a way that were really dark at that time in her life. And it was apparent to me as a 14-year-old exactly what was going on. Exactly what was going on. It was so fucking crystal clear.
As a 14-year-old?
Yeah, like abundantly clear. And I never really understood my own father's perspective on that. But I understand that his perspective now, it's like, you know, he's working 1 million hours a week to keep his head above water. And also like, you don't want to see that. You don't like, the truth sucks. So just like put your head in the sand and ignore it is a very natural response to it. But I was like fighting with my mother at the time about all kinds of the shit that a teenager fights with their parents about, getting in trouble at school and all of that. So I was mad at her. And I think part of me addressing that was just sort of confronting my dad. Like, what are you going to do about this woman?
At 14 years old, you knew your mother was cheating on your father. And
Yeah.
and you told him.
Yeah.
How does one know that?
I mean, it was super apparent. I mean, there's a handful of very specific
Mhm.
situations that just made it abundantly clear. And I think that's why, at the time, obviously, fault my mom through and through. But looking back at it, it was probably something closer to like a cry for help or a cry for attention, or just a way of her, her letting the struggle she was facing and the totality of her life manifest. Like, this is the only way I can express it, is by doing this kind of fucked up, awful thing.
As you step out of that chapter of your childhood, what are the fingerprints, the character fingerprints that are left on you that still are with you today? What did that chapter of your life, those first sort of 15 years?
Oh, I don't think anything has changed. Like, I don't think it's even fingerprints. It was so acute the way that I saw my future when I was that young. Like, I knew exactly my plan.
Really?
And exactly my plan. And look, the specifics of how that plan was going to come together were ambiguous at best. But I knew exactly my plan. Like, New York City was always the plan. I remember it was page 41 in my social studies book was a 2-page spread of the New York City skyline. And I wouldn't let myself look at that page because I would have such an emotional response to it. Like Tom Hanks in the movie Big, I would play that movie on repeat because I was like, that's me. Like, that's me. I'm going to move to New York City and get to be the kid that I wish I could be. Like, that's me. To this day, I know every word of that movie. That movie is like a Bible for me. It is a roadmap for me. But, I've made 500 YouTube videos about this single idea, but the mission of my life, and this was defined then when I was a little kid, the sole mission of my life is to realize all the promises I made to myself as a kid. When you're a little kid and you're like, someday I'm going to be an astronaut. And your mom yells at you and it's like, well, someday I'm going to have kids and I'm not going to yell at them. Or you're fucking hungry and you're all out of mac and cheese. And you're like, someday I'm going to have a refrigerator that's always filled up with food. Whatever it is, you have a boss that's an asshole. And it's like, someday I'm not going to have any boss. And all of those promises, my promises could, they could fill up a phone book. And my sole mission was always no, I have to check every single one of these off. The how was always gray, but the to do it was always vivid. And there was never even a doubt that it was going to happen. There was never an if, ever. There was nothing even close to that.
But life throws at you at that age things that you could never have predicted. And those things don't seem to have deterred your pursuit of that mission.
No.
You have a child that's 16, 17 years old?
Yeah, that was difficult. Yeah, so I moved out. Moved out is such a funny way of characterizing it. I say moved out, and I picture a moving truck pull up. I got in a fight with my mom at age 15 on a Monday night, school night. And she gave me this ultimatum. This is when she and my father were really, they were splitting up and getting back together. It was a really gnarly time in the family. But we got into this fight, and I just remember thinking I was so mad at her at the time. I was like, you can't tell me what to do. And she was like, you need to do this, this, and this, or get out of this house. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. And I just left.
Where did you go?
That night I stayed at a friend's house down the street because his parents were weirdly religious, but also kind of absent. They were always very warm to me. So I was like, hey, can I sleep here? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I slept at another friend's house, and then...
So you ran away from home?
Yeah, so I say moved out. It wasn't put the couch over there. And
Yeah.
It was I just took a backpack, and it was as close to a stick with a red handkerchief on the back. But I eventually moved in with these two girls. They were great. They were super fun. And, they were let's say I was 15. I think they were 17 or 18. And then, I started, one of them, she and I kind of got close, and then immediately she was pregnant. And a year later we had a kid. And that was challenging. But even so, I remember one moment where she started freaking out in the car because she was 8 months pregnant, and she's crying and just dealing with it. And I pulled over and I was like, what are you upset about? And she was like, what are we going to do? We don't have any money. You don't even have a job. What are we going to do? And I was like, it's going to be, what do you mean? What are we going to do? It's going to be fine. We're going to have a kid. It's going to be great. It's going to be fine.
Were you not scared?
Then, no, it just, everything made sense. I was like, oh, this is great.
There's a naivety to...
It's beautiful. Now I'm scared. I always say that, like, I had nothing to lose then. Like, I had nothing. Nothing. Like, I had no reputation. You know, like, my friends' parents all thought I was a fucking degenerate. They wouldn't let me hang around with my friends because I was such a bad influence. So it wasn't like I had, like, a reputation. Nobody knew me. I had nothing. I had no money. I had no resources. I knew no one. And when you have nothing to lose, you're just like a rat that's cornered. And it was like, oh, I'm gonna chew my way out of this one. And now I'm so scared at everything I do in life because I'm like, it's so good right now. I don't want to fuck anything up. Take it really easy. Like, I'm really happy right now. Like, I want to protect what I've got. But no, there was a naivety then that was just, it's hard for me to empathize with how, like, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, naive I was. I remember when, like, my son, Owen, when she and I split up, you know, she dumped me because I was just such a pain in the ass, and God bless her for doing so. But I remember I was like, okay, I've got a plan. In 5 years, I'm going to move to New York City, and I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that.
What were you going to do in New York?
I don't know. I had some cockamamie plan. There's always a plan. I don't know what the specifics were, but I knew that, like, up until that point in my life, I'd only ever worked in the back of restaurants, washing dishes, or like being like a prep cook, or just being like the low man in the totem pole who takes out the trash and scrubs out the garbage cans and like does all the shit work, mop. This is the only job I'd ever done. My father sold used restaurant supplies. So, like, if you need to do oven or walk-in fridge, so he could always get me jobs in restaurants. And I remember, like, moving to New York City, my only plan was like, I'm just not going to work in a restaurant. That's my plan. I'm going to do anything that's not work. But I had this 5-year plan to move to New York City. And like 6 months later, I quit my job and moved to New York.
When you look back at that sort of like 19-year-old kid that quits his job and moves to New York, so up until that point, what do you now know as a guy that's in their 40s about the brilliant accidental decisions you were making at the time? Like, what are the accidental brilliance that is probably objectively stupidity? Like, that's a stupid decision. But in hindsight, you go, I was a genius.
You know, I never would say in hindsight I was a genius. It was raw stupidity and fearlessness. But it's like all those stupid fucking quotes that everybody posts on Instagram that, like, I hate about, like, you know, you only live once, follow your dreams, pursue this. Like, fuck you. Fuck every one of you. I hate that shit. I hate inspo porn, even though I'm very guilty of fanning the flames of inspo porn. But, like, there's so much truth to all of that. And the reason why I hate that shit is, like, if you have to be told that, it's too late. If you're going to learn that from an Instagram post, it means nothing to you. It's just masturbation. Like, it's doing nothing for anyone. People just put it up there to feel good about themselves. But all of it is true. And what I mean by that is, like, I could never do at age 42 what I could do at age 19, which is just say, fuck it. I've got a 10th grade education, no high school diploma, no work experience, no life experience, and a 2-year-old. What's the best thing I can do right now? I know, let me move to the most expensive, challenging city in the world with no plan. If I hadn't done it then, I don't know that you could ever do that. And I think that, like, when I say those cheesy quotes are true, it's like, you kind of have an obligation in life that if you feel something that is so powerful to you, like, follow through with that. And I'm not naive to that now. I wasn't naive to it then, but I think now I can articulate it, which is like this idea of privilege. Like, if you're, like, born in the United States of America, if you, like, get to sit at a table and do this, like, no, I wasn't a rich kid. And, like, yeah, I was, like, on welfare and got free diapers and milk from the state. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to feed my child. And, like, I worked 60 hours a week in a kitchen making $8 an hour. I think I got $7.25 an hour was my starting salary. And, like, that was like, I'm like the luckiest person in the world to get to do that. Are you crazy? Like, do you know what some kid in South Sudan would do for that opportunity? And I just walked into it. I'm like a healthy guy. I've got 2 legs that work, and like I have a brain. Like, I'm the lucky. I won the lotto on life. So, like, if you start life with this winning lotto ticket, and it's like, oh, a little hiccup, accidentally had a baby when I was a fucking teenager. It's like, oh, no big deal. Like, they'll just push through this. This is gonna be great. And it's like, I want to live in New York City. It's like, let's go for it. Let's do it.
The privilege there sounds like a privilege of mindset. This objective privilege, I guess, from being...
Yeah, like I push back. And when people say that, my response is like, fuck you, privilege of mindset. No, that's an objective privilege. Name one time in the history of humanity, like when the Sumerians invented the written word 5,000 years ago, name one time when people had the kind of opportunity that like people like us born in the West have. Like there's never existed before. Never, ever. Maybe it's a little bit easier for our parents. You know what I mean? Like maybe like post-war USA was like a little bit easier than it is now. Or maybe now it's a little bit harder than it was for me 20 years ago, but like still, give me a fucking break. Like this life is like, it's the hardships we face now are so menial compared to what they were 100 years ago. Objectively, 200 years ago. You ever see that thing that went viral and it was like the reasons why people died in London in the year 1892? And like the fourth most popular cause of death was teeth. like 60% of the population are dying because their teeth are fucked up. Like we have it pretty easy.
Why don't people? So there's going to be another guy right now that's like washing pots in the back room at the seafood restaurant on the $7 an hour. And he might be listening to this right now and he hears you say that, but why don't people take action beyond that point and take the big bet when they've objectively potentially nothing to lose?
Oh, what's that line from, is it Caddyshack or Fletch when he's like, the world needs ditch diggers too. That's a very cynical take on it, but I think a very practical take is like, not everybody wants it. And I think that's okay. I think that's a wonderful thing. I never understood that. I think like in life, you can get whatever you want, but you can't want whatever you want. If you don't want it, there's no creating that.
But do you think sometimes people want it, but they don't really want it?
Yeah, of course. Of course. And I think that's okay. I think if you really fucking wanted it, you wouldn't need this like inspirational podcast to make you make that decision. You'd already be fucking doing it. And that's not to be defeatist. It just means that like the only goal that anyone should have in life is one of happiness and fulfillment. And like this idea that you have to win to be happy could not be further from the truth. Like, why do we hear about rock stars and famous actors and these people that we see as sort of like the absolute apex of success in the industry? Why are they all fucking killing themselves and dying of alcoholism and like all that darkness happening at the highest level? It's like, because that doesn't equal happiness. Like, what is happiness for you? And an example I like to point to is like my best friend in the whole world. We grew up together. Like, I ran away from home. I stayed with him for a little while. Like we've been together since we were kids. You know, like when I moved to New York, he stayed in the hometown. And like when I quit my job washing dishes, I gave him that job. He literally took over that job. And now, you know, here we are 25 years later, he still lives in that town. You know, he still has a job very similar to what he had 25 years ago. He's got 3 amazing kids. He lives like a very, what I would say is like very classic, archetypal, middle-class American life. And like, I look at him and I'm like, that is the embodiment of like happiness and fulfillment. He has this amazing relationship with his amazing wife. He has these 3 brilliant little kids that he gets to, you know, make sure they get to school every single day. He's got like a cute dog that he goes on runs with. He has this amazing life. And no part of that life was being like, fuck this. I want to like live on the moon someday. I need to run away from all this. Like his focus in life was something completely different. And I think that I didn't understand. I struggled to appreciate that when I was younger, but now I see like so much to that. And that's why I think like adjusting the pie in the sky is just one of happiness and fulfillment, and defining those is up to you.
Bronnie Ware, I was talking about her the other day. She's that, I think it's called palliative care nurse in Australia who interviewed people with 1 day left to live. And she asked them what their biggest regret in their life was. And the number 1 regret of the dying was not living a life true to myself. And for those people, those that do have this aspiration to start that business or, I don't know, become a ballet dancer in Europe or whatever, that are held back by potentially some form of fear, you know, is there anything that one can offer them to get them just to take that first initial step, which seems to be the hardest, like getting off the couch or getting out of quitting the job, that you might offer to your children if they came to you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that failure is, I think failure is like the greatest gift. I think failure is like, it hurts so bad, but failure is a part of life. And if you're not willing to accept that, like failure is part of it, you've got to keep failing. Anvil, the story of Anvil. You know this? I made a whole video about this. So I made a YouTube video about this. And then there's a movie called Anvil. I think it's called The Story of Anvil or something like that. Anvil was this like big hair rock band in the 80s. And they opened for like Def Leppard, you know, like 50,000 people kind of thing. But they never headlined. They never broke through. They were always the opening act. They were always like the bridesmaid, never the bride. And the movie opens showing these huge concerts in the 80s and Anvil just rocking out. And then it cuts and it shows the lead singer. And he lives in Canada and he drives a little van and he delivers food to old people making minimum wage, like barely able to keep his head above water. And he performs still in his leather outfits as like this middle-aged 50-year-old guy to like 6 people. And they'll be just drinking beer and he's there giving it his all. And the movie is about how relentless this guy, like he's just not well. He borrows money from his sister to record an album. Nobody buys it, can't pay her back. She's got kids and shit. Like it is the most devastating story you've ever seen because he's unwilling to give up that dream. Like he just wouldn't let it go. This is his whole life. And then this documentary comes out and it's fucking fantastic. And because of the documentary, Anvil blows up. And all of a sudden he is that superstar, like on tour, selling out arenas in Japan and shit. Like he did it. Had he given up at any point in time, the documentary wouldn't have been interesting. It would have just been another person who threw in the towel. But they made this, like a filmmaker saw this story and was like, that's crazy. I need to tell that story. And it yielded that success. Had he not been willing to take on 40 years of failure, 30 years of failure, he would have never found success. And I think that's the most extreme version of that. The reason why I was interrupting myself is because I made that YouTube video about, that's basically the story I just told you. And like the director reached out and was like, whatever the guy's name, the lead singer of Anvil, he's like, dude, he loved your YouTube video. And I was like, yes. I was like starstruck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think failure is overrated. I think people are so scared of failure. And I think the fear of failure is that it's the fear of what other people are going to think about you.
Persistence. That's what I heard through that story as well. Just this almost objectively delusional persistence towards a goal. And I don't know if those words are correct because in that situation, I question whether Anvil's success was ever really making it or the journey itself was the success. But in your story, I see the same level of like persistence that a bystander would go, that guy's crazy. Because there was various stats I saw about how long it took you to get to various success milestones. Even when you started daily vlogging, I think it took you 5 years to get to like 400,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Throughout your story, there's this persistence where I go, this guy would have carried on doing this because he wasn't doing this for any particular milestone. What role does persistence play?
It's funny, his persistence is it's a more accurate word. But the word I've been using lately is patience because I think it's so much less sexy. I think persistence is like under the picture of like a little kitten hanging off the branch. It's like persistence. You know what I mean? But it'll never say patience. Patience is so unattractive. And when people say to me, like, what's the one piece of advice you give to an aspiring creator? And, you know, patience. Like patience above because like if you're not willing to give up, if you're willing to stick with it you will find success or you'll die trying, in which case, fuck it, like whatever. You know, you're not going to be that person in the palliative care saying, I wish I hadn't given up because you didn't give up. You just kept going. You're going to be that person who's like, I've got one day left. I can still pull this shit off. But patience is a really unsexy way of saying it. And I think you need to remove the sexiness. You need to remove the sensationalism that inspiration has been perverted with, is this idea of like it's this romantic, beautiful thing. It's not. It's fucking awful. Like failing year in and year out and having everybody roll their eyes at you. And like, you know, whether you're a musician who's performing at the mall and no one's paying attention to you, or you're that YouTuber uploads and you get 0 views. Like it's fucking awful. It's embarrassing. You're a loser. Like I talked to Mr. Beast, Jimmy, and it's like his war stories from when he started YouTube and he was using his like mom's busted compact computer with a built-in webcam, making these videos that no one watched. They're all deleted, scrubbed from the internet now. They're terrible. And just like him going to school the next day and it's like 2 of his friends from school saw him and both acknowledged how terrible they were. Like that kind of like being told that's failure. Being told you suck over and over and over and over, and then seeing how much you suck be quantified by a lack of views, or no one showing up to your concert, or no one laughing at your jokes because you're a stand-up comedian, or no one showing up to your restaurant because you're a chef. Like, that sucks. Starting an online store, no one buys your fucking t-shirts. That sucks. Failure sucks. So like, combine that with patience. Like, that suck. Are you willing to do that for 20 years? If you're not, don't fucking bother, man. Don't bother. And that's why I like the plainness of the word patience, is because that is what it is. There's nothing persistence. Persistence is like, oh, you're at mile 22. Persist, man. You'll get across the finish line in 4 short miles. That's beautiful and fun and hardcore.
That patience that you and Mr. Beast have both shown, and many others, where does it come from? Because objectively, any sane person, if everyone's telling them they're a loser and they suck, and their parents are saying, you better go get a real job, anyone who's acting in line with their apparent incentives in that moment would quit.
I think very simply it comes for me, and I think probably for Jimmy too. We've talked about it. He and I have talked about it, but there was no plan B. There was no other option. You know, like I had no backup plan. There was nothing else I could do. It wasn't like I had a college education and there was like a job in an ad agency waiting for me where I could just say, fuck it, and go make $80K a year and get a nicer apartment and relax and have a nice go of it. It was like, if this doesn't work, I'm back in the kitchen making $7.25 an hour, like, you know, getting money from the state so I can pay for like groceries on a fucking WIC. I was on WIC, Women, Infants, and Children. It was a card. You'd swipe it and you would pay for your diapers and milk, and that's it. If you tried to buy like a Nintendo with it, it wouldn't work. Like that, I remember that. That was the fallback. That was the alternative. Every single turn, that was the alternative. Like, I moved to New York City and I was here for 3 months. I had a 3-month sublet that my brother's ex-girlfriend paid for. She was like, I'll loan you the money. And I was like, cool. It was her parents' credit card that paid for it. And it was like $1,800, $600 a month, $400 a month for 3 months. I shared it. In any event, that lease was up. I had nowhere to live in New York. And I was like, fuck, what do I do now? And I moved in with this guy was like, hey man, I need extra money. If you want to sleep on my couch, my dad pays my rent. So you could sleep on my couch and just give me like $300 a month. And that way the money goes to me. And I was like, deal. And I slept on his couch for exactly 11 nights, from September 1st to September 11th, 2001. And then the morning of September 11th, the entire apartment blew up with me in it and him in it. And I remember like later that day, like getting on the phone with my dad, and like the towers are still on fire. And my dad being like, I think it's time for you to come home now, come back. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking? What do you mean? Why would I come back? And he was like, terrorists blew up your apartment. You have no job. You have no prospects. You have no money. And now you have nowhere to sleep. I'm like, I'll figure that out. I'll be fine. Later, Dad. Like that's patience. That's delusional patience. But you asked why, like what fuels that patience? Well, the plan B was literally moving back to Southeastern Connecticut and getting a job in a restaurant.
I read a study once about this whole idea of plan A thinking, and they take a group of people and they tell them to do a puzzle, and in exchange for doing the puzzle correctly, they'll get a snack. So they take 2 groups and they say, okay, do this puzzle. If you do it correctly, you'll get a snack. Then they take another group and they say, do the same puzzle. If you do it correctly, you'll get a snack. But then they say to the group, you can also get the same snack just down the hall in the vending machine. And in the second group, where they're given a plan B to get the snack, motivation levels drop. They spend less time trying to do the puzzle, and their performance towards doing the puzzle plummets as well. Just by being aware that they can get the same reward down the hall, performance drops. And if there was ever a case for the psychology, and they've done this multiple times in multiple studies, but it is pretty solid evidence that even the presence of a plan B can reduce motivation towards your plan A.
Completely. I mean, like, I wish I knew that study, because that's such a beautiful illustration of what it is, and also what it means to have a knife at your back. Like, I remember the thing I used to say back then when I first started to find success, and I would always be like, my life is like I'm running from a pack of starving wolves. If I slow down at all, I will be eaten alive. Like I have one choice, and it's to keep going as fast as I can, or I'll be torn to pieces. And that's what it felt like. And I love that. Like that sounds so like negative and dark, but like I love that. It was such like a motivation. And I pitied the friends. Like I remember I first moved to New York City, my first summer here. I don't know how, but I like fell in with this like clique of, because I thought the girls were pretty, but like these rich kids. And I'd go out with them. And I just remember like the way they would pick up the tab. And they're my age, we're all like 19, 20 years old, and they're picking up like, you know, hundreds of dollar bar tabs and like always had taxis. And like a taxi to me was like, you know, it's like a private jet. Like they were, I had all this money, and I would always kind of look at them with this kind of like jealousy, and like, it was less of a jealousy and more just fantasize, like, imagine if I was the same age I am now, but I had a credit card with an unlimited amount of money. Like I went to her apartment. She lives on like the 26th floor. She has a 2-bedroom apartment and she lives alone. I'm sharing a 200 square foot studio with strangers I met on Craigslist. We have to wait in line to use the bathroom in the morning. And I fantasized about what that would be like. And then seeing as they got older and as I got older, them sort of wandering and not sure where they want to go in life and all of that. Whereas for me, it was such a, you know, there was such a defined path because I didn't have any of those luxuries or any of those benefits that I now look back at that as like being virtuous.
So how do you do that for your kids?
Well, that's the $1 million question, because it's like I never want my kids to feel that bullshit that I had to feel, like the shame of like always hiding in the bathroom when the bill came. I would always, you know, like I would always do something. I wasn't just like a total take, but like I just, you know, like I always kind of felt like a scumbag because I was never able to contribute the way that other people were. And like, that's a really shameful thing. And like, I can remember so many times, like when I would meet a young lady and she'd be like, "Can we go back to your place?" And the excuses that I would come up with, because I like lived in an SRO for a while. I lived in a halfway house that I bribed my way into.
A halfway house, for anyone that doesn't know, in Europe is
it's where you get out of jail and you're not allowed to live normally yet in the public.
Right.
So they put you into a building where they can monitor you.
How did you get in there?
I bribed the guy at the door. There was like a guy behind glass with like a little slot, and you'd have to check in and check out. And I went there and I was like, "Hey, do you have any open rooms?" And he was like, "No, get out of here." And I came back with a carton of cigarettes with a $100 bill in it. And I was like, "I need a room." And he was like, "All right." He's like, 531 is yours, write your name there. And he was like, "It's $450 a month cash," or whatever it was.
Interestingly, when you tell that story of being in a halfway house and having no money and all these things, objectively, someone looks at that situation and goes, "Oh man, I feel so sorry for you." Like,
I was so psyched.
But this speaks to how like a mindset and a perspective can turn hell into heaven or heaven into hell.
Yeah, I mean, like the reason why I learned about that is I had a friend, her cousin lived there, and he was like, "Here's how I got it. I bribed the door guy." And he's like, "It's cool. It's like, don't talk to anybody in the building." And he's like, "You know, some of the people in here are undocumented immigrants, and a lot of them are like, they just got out of jail." I was like, "Okay, that's cool." And he's like, "Some of them are homeless people that were given these rooms." I'm like, "Okay, I can handle all that." And like told me the whole thing of how to get in there, and there's no bathroom and no kitchen.
How did this change, Casey? I know video had come into your life around...
Video came into my life before I moved to New York City.
Right,
that was the catalyst, is my baby mama dumped me. I came into New York to hang around my brother Van, who I like worshipped. And he had just bought, he was doing like temp work.
Right.
He lived in Brooklyn. He had bought the first iMac, like the one that was like shaped like a big blue TV.
Mm-hmm.
And it came with like footage of like a dog in a plastic like kiddie pool, a pool for children to play, and the dog was getting a bath. So you could edit with the footage that came with it. And he and I would just kind of edit that footage over and over. So we didn't have a camera. So I bought a camera and he had a computer, and I came in and we'd like film stuff and then edit videos of it. And I was like, I can figure this out. And I like maxed out a credit card and started making terrible videos. And then I was like, that's it. I'll become a filmmaker. And then I moved to New York. Like it was one of the 3 things I brought to New York when I moved here was this huge iMac and like a backpack full of clothes, and then like my BMX bike, which was stolen the next day.
And you're like 19 at this time.
Yeah.
What was it? Do you ever think about the psychological reasons why you were so drawn to video and storytelling generally?
I don't know
The best way to make money online is to stop trying to make money online. And I'm being serious because passive income is about doing less, not more. And that's the secret of how the rich keep getting richer while everyone else keeps struggling. But what if you're not already rich? How would you like to shortcut your
After Apple sending me a letter threatening to sue me, losing $1,000 in a single day, and then breaking even for 3.5 months, I finally cracked the code on becoming rich through online business. I definitely was put through the ringer over this time, but it wasn't luck. It wasn't cold showers at 4 a.m. There were certain variables that I stumbled across by A/B testing for months that turned my money-draining online pipe dream into my current reality. I now have hit that 7-figure mark on multiple stores and multiple online businesses, quit my soul-sucking 9-to-5 job, and finally live that laptop lifestyle that I've always dreamed of. But it wasn't always like this. I know what it's like to be in your shoes starting from scratch. Trust me, I was there. I am no different than you. But I condensed exactly what I learned along my journey to become a part of those top 10% of people that start a dropshipping store and actually find success. Hopefully this video motivates some of you guys and puts it into perspective what it actually takes to become successful online. Make sure you're paying attention. I'm going to tell the entire story from scratch, and I'll be ending with key needle-moving things that actually made me successful. Now let's rewind a little bit back to my childhood. I don't know what it is, and maybe this doesn't apply to everyone, but I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. From a kid in grade school, I was selling duct tape wallets on the playground. I was always hosting multiple soda snack stands on the side of the road. I always just had an interest in buying and reselling things. This really gave me a taste of what it's like early on to run your own business, as small as that may sound. But I think if you're watching this video, you're probably in that same boat. You're interested in online business, you're interested in making money for yourself and working for yourself. And a very important lesson that I learned early on was exactly how much effort you put into your own business is exactly what you get out of it. That is the beauty of entrepreneurship. So now fast forwarding to 2015, 2017, when I was in college at Arizona State University, I was studying supply chain and business sustainability, and I was working on some internships on the side, and they're paying decently, like $20 to $25 an hour. But I knew this was gonna lead me down a career path that I did not enjoy. I mean, who wants to sit at a desk all day getting orders from someone above you just to get to the next level and the same thing happen again for 40 years? It sounds honestly miserable. So my fiance had the idea to buy and resell clothes on Poshmark, Mercari, and eBay. So over a year and a half in college, we would go to this store called Last Chance in Arizona, and we'd buy women's clothing, hats, shoes. Shoes was a big seller. We bought them at a discounted rate and sold them on Poshmark, Mercari, eBay at 2 to 3 times what we purchased them for. As I said, we did this for a little over a year, but we actually generated over $80,000. This completely opened up my eyes to the ability to sell things online. I really learned firsthand that there was such a big market of people purchasing things online. And fast forwarding today in 2023, moving into 2024, it's only bigger. But I knew that flipping clothing and shoes was not sustainable. I mean, I could technically do this full time, making pretty good money, but there was always a limit to how much supply we could actually get to turn over. And then 2018 happened. 2018, I graduated college and I accepted a job offer in Los Angeles as a supply chain analyst. As I accepted this offer to move out there, always in the back of my mind was that I did not want to work this 9 to 5. I didn't want to have a boss. I wanted to run my own business. And around the same time is where I stumbled across dropshipping on YouTube. I was watching content creators like Bia Heza. He was a really big motivational factor for me even starting e-com in general. So shout out to you, Bia Heza, you make great content. And as I delved deeper into it, I saw there were so many young kids making a ton of money online through e-commerce and dropshipping. I thought that this would be a great idea to start on the side since I had a little experience selling things online already. I mean, all I really needed was a laptop. Or so I thought. After deciding to fully buy into dropshipping and start it up, I realized quickly that there's way more to it than meets the eye. You have to figure out what product you want to sell, you have to figure out where you're going to get your supplier, you have to learn how to build a website, create advertisements that are actually going to convert. You really have to play every single role in this business. And that was totally different than Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari because the marketing was already kind of built in. People just searched for the products that they wanted and we sold it to them. In the beginning, I thought it was a little overwhelming, but I knew I could do it because I had the computer skills. I already had a taste for what it's like to sell things online. I knew I just had to figure out the puzzle pieces and put them together for everything to work properly. And I knew the main currency that it was going to take to actually become successful wasn't money, it was my time. So I started my first store. My first store was around replica AirPods. Looking back at it now, it was an awful idea. You cannot sell products that are copyright. It was just all around bad. And at the time, I didn't think that this would be an issue because they were so different than Apple's AirPods, but little did I know it was going to become a problem. So what I did at the time was I created my website, I sourced the product from a supplier that I found on AliExpress, and I didn't want to do any paid marketing because I've never done it before. Again, I was doing Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari where it was already done for you. So since I didn't want to pay for it, what I did was reach out to influencers on YouTube. I wrote them cold emails and I said, hey, you can pick out anything that you want in my store. I will send it to you as long as you review it. I'll give you a discount code for your fans or whatever. And surprisingly, a good amount of tech review channels actually decided to reply and pick out some products, and I sent it over to them. I don't know if this is a different time or not, but none of them asked for any payment at all. They just wanted to review the product. I guess it was for content ideas. And one of the biggest channels that I got to review it had over 700,000 subscribers, which was absolutely crazy. I thought he was gonna ask for like $5 grand at least to do it. So it actually worked out pretty well. There was a good amount of reviews out there. I was getting some sales, and I quickly kind of ran it up to $10,000 in a month. I thought I had it all figured out. I was like, this is super easy, right? Just reach out to people, they'll promote your product, you can just ship it out to them, and you're gonna make the profit in between. Boom, I solved drop shipping. I wasn't gonna have to work my 9 to 5 anymore. This is fantastic. But that's when the major problem happened. I received a cease and desist letter from Apple. They were stating that I couldn't sell the product anymore. I had to take down my website completely, all of the images, all of the titles of the product, everything. And if I didn't, they were gonna sue me. So naturally, I was scared and I decided to shut down that business completely. I was really disappointed because I thought I figured it out. I was like, I can just sell this replica product and give it to influencers and I was gonna make a ton of money and live my life happily ever after. But I didn't give up because now I knew that I could sell things online in college through Poshmark. I also realized that I could build a Shopify store and people were gonna buy from me. That taste for success really provided the motivation to continue forward and not give up. And that's when I created my second real legitimate store. This store was now in the beauty tools niche, so there was no copyright issues. The market was a lot bigger. I didn't know anything about it, but my fiance is a model, so I was like, you know, her and her friends can kind of give me tips and pointers of how they'd want to be advertised to, what products are good right now. So I figured this is the best opportunity that I have. So I found the product that I wanted to sell. It was a jade roller. I started setting up the website, creating ads, pretty much everything I did for the replica AirPod brand, but optimized for the beauty niche. But this time I decided to go the route of paid traffic because organic traffic wasn't really around at the time. I thought paid might be better because I would have more control over the spend and the people coming onto my website. And I saw a bunch of people online posting about how they're running Facebook and Instagram ads, and that's how they're getting all of their traffic and online sales. But little did I know, paid traffic is a completely different beast than influencer organic marketing altogether. It is a lot more stressful because now every single dollar that I put into advertising through Facebook and Instagram was just gone into the abyss, hoping to get some traffic and revenue back. But it was never guaranteed. So I started testing out video ads on Instagram and Facebook, and they did not perform very well. I was getting disappointed because I was starting to lose some of that money that I generated from my replica AirPod brand. But I kept a level head because I knew that you had to test a lot with paid traffic before something would finally work. I then decided to start testing out some image ads because I heard from people online that they were a lot cheaper to advertise than video. So I launched a couple of terrible looking image ads. They were absolutely garbage. But to my surprise, and I think everyone's surprise at the time, they actually started to make some sales, which is pretty crazy because I'm telling you, they were horrible looking. But generating some sales, I now knew that, okay, Facebook and Instagram traffic actually works. There's real people on there that are converting on my website and they like my product. Now, it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't even profitable. I was breaking even. But these sales were a great sign and they motivated me to keep going. Since the proof of concept was there, I knew there were some things that I could tweak and improve on to actually make this store profitable. I just didn't know what they were yet. So I tested a ton of different ads for 3 months. I was barely making enough revenue to cover the product cost, Shopify fees, and the paid marketing. And I was trying everything that I could to improve my website. It was the worst direction I could have taken it. I would sit there for hours studying what button color I should be using on my website, thinking that that was the thing that was going to make me profitable. I was thinking, oh, if my website was a little bit better looking, my conversion rate would double, and then of course would be more profitable. I kid you not, I was changing something every single day on the website, trying to test out what was going to increase my conversion rate. But then something clicked. I realized that changing the buttons on the website, the verbiage on the website was not going to actually move the needle. It wasn't going to do anything for my conversion rate. The website was already fine. People were checking out on it. It did not need to get any better than it was. But I was discouraged because I wasn't making any money, which led me to my last ditch effort. I switched up 2 things involving the marketing on the front end of the store rather than the website. And I kid you not, the night before I launched this campaign, I told myself, if this does not work, then I'm going to shut down the store and move on to something else. And I wasn't going to quit in general. I was probably going to start up another store or just try a different product, but I just was done with this one. I was just wasting my time, it seemed like. It's been 3 months. But I moved forward. I set up the campaign to launch at 12 a.m. the next day, and then I went to sleep. The next day, I woke up, I checked my phone, and there were more sales than usual. I was obviously very excited. I was pretty much glued to my phone the entire day watching the sales come in. And then finally, the day was over. I looked at the results, and the next day, I calculated that I made $50 net profit, which isn't crazy, but it meant that it was finally working. And now that these puzzle pieces were fitting together and I was profitable, me being as impatient as I am, I scaled up aggressively. I was duplicating the campaigns, increasing the budgets, trying to get as much spend out there as possible while remaining profitable. And the days and weeks went on and I was still profitable, by a lot this time. At the time that I turned profitable, I was a little over halfway in the month, so I didn't get a full month of profitability, I guess. But I ended the month somewhere around $4,000 to $5,000 net profit. $5,000 profit from a side hustle only halfway through the month. That is what my paychecks were looking like after taxes from my 9 to 5. This was insane. But of course, I did not stop there. Continuing to scale through the next month, doing the exact same thing, just duplicating it and putting more spend into Facebook and Instagram. The month end finally came to a close and I profited $17,000. This was around 3 times what I was making at my 9 to 5. Just a little further down the road, there were days that I was making $2,000 profit in a single day. I did this for about 6 months because I was unsure if this was gonna last. And then finally the day came where I was making way more money than my 9 to 5 and I decided to quit. I decided to quit because the time that I was spent at my 9 to 5, I was thinking I could be making more stores, testing new products with all this extra time in the day, I guess 8 hours. And I was completely correct. Ever since then, my life completely changed. Since then, I've created multiple 7-figure stores, run other online businesses that are not dropshipping, traveled the world completely for free because of credit card points, and I also don't have a boss, and really just created that lifestyle that I always envisioned. I am so grateful for the life that I have today and the decision to actually keep pursuing this even though I wasn't making any money in the beginning. I can't even imagine where I'd be at if I was still at my 9 to 5. It would be a complete nightmare. But what did I change the night before giving up? What actually moved the needle? Looking back at it now and knowing what I know about e-commerce and becoming essentially a master in it, these are the things that you need to be focusing on. Focus on creating an offer that is too good to pass up. I talked about this before, but what I did with that store was I lowered the price of my product lower than Amazon's. It was a popular product on Amazon, but I was beating their price, so people were purchasing through me because they were probably price checking on Amazon. They're like, oh, I can get it for cheaper on this website. That was my offer at the time, essentially. I guess my pricing offer. And you're probably thinking, how did you even make any money? Like, where's your margins gonna come from? And you're absolutely correct to ask that question. So I made a lot of my money only on upsells. Once I knew that that product was selling well, that was my hero product, I did a bunch of A/B testing on other products that would complement this product perfectly. I finally came across one and I was getting about a 40% upsell conversion rate for at least a minimum of 1 additional product. People would order 3, 4, 5 products as well. So my average order value increased. I was pretty much breaking even on the hero product and I was making all of my money on these upsells. Because now when I paid for someone to come out of my store and they converted, that would be my cost per purchase on Facebook, but most of them were purchasing more than 1 item. So I was essentially getting multiple customers for free, if you can kind of look at it that way. And I also had my suppliers shipping them in bundles, so then I was saving on shipping as well. So my margins obviously increased. Now, the next important thing that I learned early on in e-commerce is learning as much as you can about marketing angles. After learning about these and realizing how much you actually need to resonate with your audience and paint the picture for them of why they need this product, the easier the game of e-commerce is. My old marketing angles were like, get 10% off today. That's not a marketing angle. That's just a terrible offer. Or I had ones like the only face tool that you'll need, the best tool in skincare. Just really boring and bland marketing angles. So I learned about this and I switched them to something called PASS. This is a system which stands for Pain, Agitate, Solve. So for my copy, I looked up the most common skincare problems, and then I updated the ads accordingly. So frustrated because you can't get your skin redness under control, it's embarrassing, lowers your self-confidence, and can affect your overall well-being. Jade rollers have been proven to solve these problems, blah, blah, blah. But you see what I did there? I did market research. I came up with the angle of skin red irritation. I showed them the pain. I agitated it by saying it's embarrassing, it affects your well-being, and then I gave them the solution. Marketing angles are such a powerful tool in e-commerce. It's life-changing if you can actually study these and learn about them. So if you're stuck breaking even or you're not making any sales, focus on those 2 things instead of just changing the color of your website button. Learn these high income skills that actually move the needle in e-commerce. Learn about how to market to people, and you will find the same success that I have. I hope that this little story time video gave you guys a little insight of how I got started, and hopefully it resonates with you in the position that you're in right now by watching this video. I know that if you are watching this video, then you are probably in the same spot I was many years ago. And the last piece of advice I can give you is just don't give up. No matter what you do in your online business route or brick and mortar business route, just don't give up, stay consistent, A/B test, because you cannot succeed if you give up. All right, guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was motivational, maybe insightful.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up, we've got Shape Video Masks. You can use different shapes.
Only 30% of dropshipping stores make their first sale, and worse than that, only 10% manage to succeed and run a sustainable business. But why exactly is that? After building multiple 6- and 7-figure brands and being in the space for over 5 years now, I'm here to uncover all of the mistakes that I see the beginners make over and over again. These tips that I'm about to share with you are going to drastically increase your chance of success, especially the second tip, which I think you guys need to pay really close attention to. Now, the first thing that you need to know before starting a dropshipping store is that it's going to take time to master. So many people out there paint the picture that dropshipping is super easy to start and you're going to get sales right off the bat and become a multi-millionaire. All while doing it with a half-decent website, poor ad creatives, poor marketing angles. But in reality, dropshipping is simple but hard to master. But what dropshipping actually does is that it teaches you high-income skills that you need to run this type of business, like web design, marketing angles, ad creatives, social media marketing, and so many other things. But if everyone had these skills, everyone would be making a lot of money online. More so, these skills are not just learned in a few days of you trying to build up your Shopify brand. You need to constantly be putting in practice and learning from your mistakes and getting better with each and every attempt. Now, like I was saying earlier, there is so much content online right now about how easy it is to start a dropshipping store. You're gonna get your Lamborghini next week. And that's why I see a ton of beginners going into the space, putting up a random product on a pretty bad looking website, throwing like $100 into Facebook ads on a creative that they source from some third party or on Fiverr, and then get little to no results, quit, and call dropshipping a scam. It is 100% achievable if you actually put the time and effort in. Think about it like any other high paying job, right? You usually need a college degree, maybe a master's degree, but the bottom line is that you need a ton of training, years of it, before you see any income at all. That's the exact same thing as dropshipping and building an e-commerce brand. The only difference is that you don't have to go to school for it. You can learn on your own time, and it's a lot quicker than getting a 4-year degree to learn high income skills. And for you specifically, you're already taking the first step. You're watching e-commerce content like this. So for you, it could take weeks, maybe months, but I'm telling you, the more that you learn about every element of dropshipping and e-commerce in general, you're gonna find success in your own stores. You're also gonna learn these high income skills that you can take anywhere else. Now, moving on to the next important thing before you even start dropshipping, you have to stop overthinking your product. So many big YouTubers and TikTokers are obsessed with finding these winning products, but I'll tell you right now, most people that are doing big numbers in e-commerce are not just finding products that look cool. They really focus on products that are evergreen and can be sold year-round. Don't get me wrong, some seasonal products are great, but the problem with that is I look at e-commerce and dropshipping as a sustainable, lifelong career in business. I don't want to sell the next fidget spinner and just make 10, 20, 30 grand over a couple months and then have it become extremely saturated and then the trend dies. That leaves you scrambling, looking for the next winning product, and the cycle is just endless. Evergreen niches are so much better to go into, like golf, beauty, pet niche. These types of niches are always in demand. They're not going anywhere. But what the really good e-commerce brand owners are focusing on is turning any average product into winning product by using marketing angles, branding, and high quality ad creatives. Fundamentally, this is what most beginners need to understand. Think of a shower head for an example. That's a pretty average product. Maybe it has good pressure or water filtration, but that's pretty much it. Now attach the shower head to the marketing angle of skincare. Now all of a sudden you have this shower head that gives you clearer skin and is now turned into a winning product. This is exactly how the brand Jolie was created. This is the brand Jolie right here. They're doing extremely well, and they've completely branded the shower head space in general for skincare. It removes chlorine, heavy metals, other contaminants from your shower to improve your skin skin and hair and well-being. This is the complete angle and model that's actually made them successful. It's literally just a shower head. But you can see here that they have a subscription for $148. It includes one Jolie, one filter, and a filter subscription. So they're taking the Brita kind of model and they're saying, hey, you need to do this with your skincare and your hair care from your regular shower because all that water in there is hard water. And you need to change your filter every 3 months, right? So we're gonna set you up in a subscription package for this. But overall, the secret to this type of branding is making sure that you're hitting the right demographic of audience with the right marketing angle. But of course, that's easier said than done. The best way to train yourself is by trying to actually attach great angles on already great products. How I kind of do this is similar to the way MrBeast and other big YouTubers pick their videos. These guys first come up with the thumbnails for their video. If they have a great idea for a thumbnail, they try to create a video around it because they know the thumbnail is the most important part. If people don't like the thumbnail and don't click on the video, you don't get any views at all. I do this in the exact same way, but with marketing angles. What I do is pick out a product and ask myself, can I come up with great marketing angles for this product? And if I can't, I'll move on. Because the more marketing angles that you can come up with in the beginning, the higher chance of success that you have. You can test a bunch of different demographics and audiences by using marketing angles. Too many beginners pick average marketing angles that have been done 100 times, try to replicate it, and expect the same results. Most of the time, that's actually where the term saturation of a product comes from. It's really not the product that's saturated. People are still buying the product. It's the marketing angles that you're using for this product that are saturated. If you ask anyone that is successful in dropshipping or building Shopify brands, they're gonna say that this is one of the most important things to look for when you're picking out your product. It's such an important skill to learn because you're not just gonna be cycling through untapped products looking day and night trying to find one. You're really just looking for product angles. And once you master coming up with marketing angles, it's gonna be so much easier to find these winning products. An example that's more recent is this air purifier that they targeted people that own pets because pets have odors. And people don't want their house to smell like pets, litter boxes, and all those things. Here's the example of the brand right here. So instead of just selling an air purifier like everyone else does on TikTok and humidifiers, you see it all the time, they said, hey, we're gonna sell an air purifier, but the only target market that we're trying to hit are people that wanna eliminate pet odors. And a lot of people have pets, so the market is still a very, very large size, but everything is completely optimized for eliminating pet odors and making your house smell fresher. If there's any fundamental of e-commerce and dropshipping that you need to learn as a beginner, it is 100% marketing angles. The next important thing that you need to learn before you even start is becoming adaptable. Now, what I mean by that is you need to be flexible, pivot, and overcome anything that's kind of thrown in your way. There will be days ahead of your journey where there's gonna be a million things that go wrong. Maybe your supplier doesn't have any more stock. Maybe your Facebook account gets banned. There are just so many different things that can go wrong, but you have to be resilient and overcome these obstacles. I remember when I was having a lot of success dropshipping and I was still working at my 9-to-5 job because I didn't really know how long it was gonna last. At the time with dropshipping, I was making about 3 times what I was at my 9-to-5 job. So I figured it was time to pull the trigger, take a risk, and leave my 9-to-5 job. But what happened next was completely uncalled for. The week after I quit my job, my Facebook ad account got completely banned, totally restricted. And at the time, that was my only income stream, so I was extremely nervous, very scared, because I'm like, oh great, I just quit my 9-to-5 job and now this whole thing just got shut down and banned. What am I gonna do? But I knew there were multiple ways to get around that. I tried to create new Facebook accounts, use friends and family. Everything worked out. But the point is that you can't get too lazy and just when something happens that's inevitable, you just give up and move on to the next thing. You're never gonna learn to master these high income skills by doing that and just quitting anytime something gets rough. I see a ton of beginners outsourcing a lot of their work in the beginning when times are getting tough or they don't wanna learn a skill. And then they end up asking themselves, what's going wrong? Why isn't this working? Or why is this failing now? You need to be proactive, solving your issues yourself and learning all these skills from scratch in the beginning, taking time and implementing them. Because if you just outsource and try to pay your way through everything and throw money at your business, it's not going to work. Trust me, you're gonna thank yourself in the end. You're gonna avoid so many headaches and really teach yourself that you're capable of overcoming anything. And it may seem like a lot in the beginning, but I promise you, trial and error is your best friend. That is the only way that you can learn all of these skills and actually master them and put all the puzzles of your business together, making sure that they work and be able to take your brand even further and open up so many opportunities for you. And if you're completely stuck, just reach out to people that have done it that you look up to or get a mentor that can help guide you through the process. Just don't quit when there's any little road bump. That is the only way in life in every single element that you're going to be able to achieve all the dreams that you want, all of your goals, whether it's business or just your personal life. So if that sounds like you, take this message to heart. My last advice to you, if you're trying to start up any sort of business, whether it's online or in person, you need to push yourself as hard as you can time trying to build this business and putting in the sweat equity and hours, even though you're not getting any results in the beginning. But I guarantee you, if you continue to work, learn as much as you possibly can, and overcome any road bumps that come along the way, you will find the success in whatever business venture that you're pursuing. And you'll be thanking your previous self for overcoming this obstacle that you're about to quit on. Those are the 3 things and the best pieces of advice that I can give you before you even start your dropshipping store. So remain consistent, put in your time and effort, your trial and error, and you will find some success. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this video was motivational. I hope it gave you some good ideas and what you can look forward to when you're creating your own business. All right, guys, that's all from me, and I'll see you guys next time.
My thought process of creating new dishes, I get a picture of something in my mind. I try and find the best ingredients I can within the most local distance.
How much money do you make?
A year?
Yeah.
A few $1,000,000 bucks.
A few $1,000,000 bucks?
That was just right away.
Yeah, that's how I open every podcast.
Okay. Yeah, last year I made like $2 million bucks.
Well, you're a G, and you have crazy cool cars, and you just bought a dope house, so the money's real. What do you do?
I started with dropshipping, and then in 2017, I started creating content around that business, and that's when I started to, I guess, really find my calling, which was YouTube as well as business.
Wait, so you were making dropshipping videos in 2017?
Yeah, in high school.
Dude, that's like the
They're
peak.
terrible though.
Wasn't that like the peak of dropshipping?
Yeah, in a sense, like it was where it was super easy. We're seeing that now, like this year with TikTok Shop too. But like I am seeing how easy, or I saw how easy it was back then, where you can just, you know, hit up an influencer on Instagram and run up tons of money. So for sure.
Okay, so this is what I love the most about you and your story is that was like a huge mania of dropshipping 2017, 2018, maybe 2019 as well. But then a lot of people, once it got harder, it became a little less unpopular or a little less popular. Almost everyone switched out and switched to the next trend on YouTube, where you like stayed in the dropshipping lane and just kept going and learning and building through the skill. And now you're like one of the few people that can like legitimately dropship anything, and you just know what the fuck you're doing. And even if you fail with one product, you'll find the next one and make a lot of money on that. So explain just explain that process for you.
So it's nothing fancy. I think I'm naturally not the smartest person ever. And so like there's tons of other businesses. Obviously you guys were into crypto and stuff. I just personally like was not that educated with everything else. And it's like, you don't know what you don't know. So I just always knew dropshipping. I knew, okay, I could find products online. I have suppliers I've already built up connections with. So it was just something that had always interested me and always made me money. So I never even thought to look elsewhere, because I knew if I already had this business that I had base knowledge for, if I could just keep, you know, growing 10% a year or 20% a year with knowledge, I will be light years ahead of if I try to start a different business every other year and keep ping-ponging around from other stuff, because that's what I did in the beginning and it just got me nowhere. And then I kind of talked to myself. I was like, hey, focus on one thing, and it worked. And so that's why, like, it's not anything fancy. It's just I saw dropshipping as a thing and I didn't really change my mind. I kind of just focused on it.
What makes a successful dropshipper in 2023?
Okay.
So I think it's important to focus on the fact that you stuck through dropshipping since like the start of the popularity, but you referenced that it's now becoming easy again with TikTok.
Yes.
So just walk me through your dropshipping process.
Okay. So dropshipping in 2023 is insane right now. Like it's specifically with TikTok. I'll just tell you, like talk to you. TikTok is ridiculous right now. So the organic content reach right now with TikTok Shop is ridiculous. And I saw, so essentially what TikTok Shop is, it's like Amazon. So they are trying to compete with Amazon. They're trying to have facilities that house their own inventory, where brands, like if you had a brand, you could reach out to them, house inventory with them, they will fulfill your orders, and you can sell your product directly on their platform. So that's what they're doing now, and they are trying to use the overall reach they have on their platform to push people to just stay on their platform, because they saw all these advertisers in the last few years run ads to external websites, and it converted like crazy. Like that's how we've done, again, 5 million in the last 12 months is with TikTok ads pushing to our own Shopify store. But now what is happening is TikTok realized that, and they're like, okay, let's keep it all in-house, and that's why TikTok Shop is a thing now. So now essentially you can create your own store on TikTok and sell directly to those consumers on the app, already in the app.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so that's
I
how
did
it
not know
works.
that.
And the best thing is TikTok manages their content. So the organic, like feed that you go through, that will be controlled by TikTok. And when they release new features, like with TikTok Shop, every other video is a TikTok Shop promoting a product. And so that's how powerful it is. So essentially what we are doing is we are now finding products that we already sold with TikTok ads, literally just taking them, putting them on TikTok Shop, sending them out to creators with Amazon Prime. We're just priming them to the creators. They get it next day, and then they film content, and they are incentivized to make the content because we give them a commission.
Okay, I have some of this went over my head. So
Okay,
when you said Amazon Prime.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let me explain, let me backtrack. So essentially TikTok has a creator program where you can say, hey, I have this product, creators can reach out to me, I can reach out to creators, and I can see if I can make a deal so that way they basically can get the product from us and make content for the product to push sales because, TikTok has an affiliate program where, for example, let's say you have a big TikTok following, over 5K minimum, you can actually get my product and then you can film content with it. And
if it's on the TikTok Shop.
Yes, and you will get 20%. You can set your affiliate commission.
So
we set 20.
You launch a product on TikTok Shop, Sebastian.
Yes.
And I have 50,000 followers on TikTok. I can then
I can reach out to you, say, Brett, I want you to make content. We love your page, whatever you want to say, to convince them, and then say, we'll give you 20% of every sale you bring in.
So I can make basically an ad, but it's just a normal post on my account.
Yes.
And it promotes your product with a link to your TikTok Shop product.
A shop. It's not even like a URL. It's just directly on the app. So that's the cool part, but if you think about it deeper, it becomes a lot more crazy in your head. So you realize that every single creator who's making content for the TikTok Shop, subconsciously each viewer sees it, and in their head they're like, okay, this isn't just an ad, because in order to actually get that product and make a TikTok Shop video, this video that I'm watching that this person's talking about, I don't know, this mic stand, they had to have already gotten the product from this brand that is now being promoted. So it's another layer of trust where you don't just see an ad and in your head, you don't automatically turn it as a scam or like
so you have
freak
to
sale. Yeah, you have to actually get the product from the shop you're promoting. That way you can now promote it. So if you get what I mean, like
they
all the
make you buy one?
Yeah, well, they make you buy them, or you can send them free samples and then they accept the sample. But overall, all of these creators have gotten a product from the shop. So it's like this new layer of trust, again, to actually build into the overall platform to make it just next level.
So it's literally like if Amazon had creator profiles where you can make content first.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a shop with it. That's pretty cool.
It's insane,
That's
bro.
actually crazy.
We tried it out with a shop, like, I think we started a week ago. We sent maybe it's actually 2 or 3 products out. It costs us.
So hold on. So it's like Amazon FBA. Like if you have a product, you have to send a pallet.
That's the goal for TikTok. It's not yet. We're in communication with them to see their goal, and they want to do that. However, for now, it's just a platform. It's like eBay was and Amazon was back then when they didn't have the fulfillment. No, it's just like a platform, a marketplace where you can sell products.
So you can still drop ship. You can still get a supplier in Alibaba.
Yep.
Okay. So how do you get a product on TikTok Shop?
You can just go on TikTok Shop, Google it, seller accounts, and then you create a seller account. You start listing your products, and you can have them all loaded up. So like for instance, we are selling a women's product. I won't say it because we're still selling it, and we plan to probably do a few million this Q4 with it. And so we sent it out to a handful of people, maybe 5. And of those 5, it cost us, I would say, $10 to $20 per product to get to the actual people to make content. So let's say it cost us $100. So of that $100, we actually have generated $3,000 in sales that has been generated. I think profits around $1,500, and there's no ad spend. So it's literally $100, and we've profited $1,500 from just sending them out, and people are making content promoting it.
So it's just like a baked-in affiliate program in a way.
Yeah.
Does TikTok take a percentage?
They take 5%.
Okay, so Amazon takes 15%, but this system, you can put a product on TikTok Shop. The creator that promotes the product gets 20%, and then TikTok takes 5%.
Yeah, the creator can get whatever. You can put 5, 10, but I like to do 20.
Oh, so it's just an affiliate system that you choose. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And they can natively make content in the app and sell the product within the app.
And once they do a good video, this is the killer parts, you can, number 1, talk to them and say, hey, look at how good you did. You generated us $1,000. Imagine if you did this once a week. Like if you consistently post content, you can make so much money. So that's number 1. Also, if you want to launch other products and you already have creators that are doing well, you pull them off the platform. Well, I don't know if this is against TOS, but you keep talking to them and you say, hey, we have new products to launch and all this stuff. They can now create new products and new videos for your products and make you tons of money for endless amounts of products. So it's a win-win.
So you're like building that relationship with that creator.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can talk to them and promote anything in the future. So this is like UGC creators optimized. This is like influencer marketing optimized.
Yeah.
All in one platform.
Exactly. It's like everything we wanted for Instagram that never happened.
Yeah.
Like there was never a hub where you can directly just look up, hey, I want people over 5,000 followers who get this many views.
Wow.
TikTok has that already, and you weren't able to do that with Instagram. You can do it so in depth. You can pick the category of content they make, what gender they are, and everything like that, and get a huge list of creators that are willing to promote your product.
Okay, there's so much to unpack. How long has this been around?
A while. What's up? It's been around for not actually a while, 60 days or so. I think they launched
So
like
TikTok
2 months
Shop
ago.
came out 2 months ago?
Yes, that's why I'm like
Holy
so hyped
shit.
about it, because
Okay.
I think it's something where people are going to gap a lot of newbies if they don't start soon, because TikTok Shop is going to get bigger, which means that reps and everyone else aren't going to be as accessible. The creators are going to get bombarded with tons of requests and stuff to actually promote content. And so, I think now's an amazing time to start.
There's always an arbitrage with being the first one. Like
100%.
if you're the first on a certain platform, especially an ad platform, they're going to give you better CPMs because they want you to feel like it's doing good.
Oh, yeah.
And so the fact that there's only been around for 2 months, like I'm sure there's like barely any products on there.
Yeah, and it's only in the US. It's not even in the other countries yet. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Every time I do a podcast with people, I always like immediately want to ping pong around at other business models. That's actually fucking crazy. Because that makes so much sense. It's like the first platform that has video and the marketplace and the affiliate incentive. So it's like a perfect triangle.
Yeah. So now essentially what we're doing is we have VAs just reaching out to tons of creators daily saying, hey, once essentially our business model, I can kind of play it out. I think that'd be valuable. We pick 5 products to 10 products to test with TikTok Shop, where we basically say, hey, we're going to send out like 5 products per product. So essentially we'll send out 5 units per product of each individual product that we're going to test, and we'll send them to all different creators. They all make content. Whatever product does the best, that's the one we'll focus on. And then once we do, then we have VAs literally copy and paste messages to tons of new influencers saying, hey, we have this product, can you promote it? And they can reach out to, thousands a day. And then if we can find like 50 to 100 creators a day that will promote our product, at a 10% win rate, we're making thousands a day. And there's no ad cost. So that's why I am hopping on it and just absolutely capitalizing the hell on it, because I know how easy it is right now.
This is like, did you see the podcast with Oliver?
Not really,
the
no.
Tabs sex chocolate one? This is literally his system, but now baked into TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. And are you reaching out to them directly on the TikTok platform?
It's on TikTok Seller. They have a communication platform on there.
TikTok Seller?
Yeah, on the TikTok Shop Seller account, you have it's like a messaging app that's linked up with it. I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
But so it's in the
It's
TikTok
directly,
platform.
yeah,
How are you finding
integrated.
people to reach out to? What's your outreach strategy?
Essentially, like, what are we actually saying, or the filter, or what?
The filter.
Okay, so that's just it depends on what product you're actually going to be using. If you're selling a product for men, obviously filter to men's influencers. We like to do over 10,000 followers, and then you can actually, this is the crazy part, you can see the average views of the account. So it can say this girl has 20,000 followers, but on average she gets 200,000 views. That's a killer ratio, right?
Wow.
Like 10x her following.
Really good engagement.
And so that's what we do. We look for those valuable things that are over 5x or view to follower ratio, where they're getting way more views per follow that they have. And so we basically just do that and then tell our VAs to do that on a big scale.
Interesting. Okay, and then what I'm assuming just the outreach message itself is just like, hey,
we love your page. We have these few products. When we're testing, we say we have these few products. Would you be interested in promoting them for 20% or for 15% or whatever? And then once we have a winning product, we're like, hey, we are selling this product and it's doing really well. Other creators are making this much a week or whatever. Would you be interested in selling it?
Okay, that makes sense. Very simple process.
Yeah.
Now, how are you choosing what products to sell?
Again, we're essentially looking at what products sold well in the past. So all we're doing is pulling our past winners. It's kind of easy for us. But if a newbie was trying to do this, I would just type in the term shop. I can actually, you want me to show you real quick?
Sure.
It's actually really cool. You can pull up TikTok and type in the term shop. And then if you go to the shop tab, you can look at all of these different, if it'll load, all of these different products. This one had sold 8,000 units, 5,000 units, 395,000
So you can see the top sellers.
So yeah, you look at the top selling products. Maybe don't sell that exact one, but you start to learn from what's selling well. and then what people can easily make content for. Because not every product is easy to make content for. If it's something super complex, not every influencer is going to be able to talk about it. So yeah, it's kind of combining those things, making sure margins are good, and then.
Okay, so you find a product on TikTok Shop that's like working well, but then you have to go to Alibaba, right? Or
for fulfillment, we don't buy in bulk yet. We are going to, but for now, all we do is we work with Zendrop. They can fulfill all of our orders. And there is one thing, you need to have US tracking. So you may need US suppliers if you want to have fast shipping, as well as TikTok requires you to input the tracking at most 7 days. So if you get an order today, you have to fulfill it within 7 days or they will cancel all of the orders.
Oh, so you can't like have a 2-3 week shipping time.
Yeah, well you can. It's only tracking. You need to input the tracking within a week, which is not that bad. Like, as long as you're on top of your stuff. But I think it's good. TikTok is like weeding out the scammy scumbags who do dropshipping traditionally and making it a very clean platform with consequences if you fail to comply with everything. You know, you have a rating on your store where if people are unhappy, they will start to kind of throttle back your performance and all of that stuff. So
they're kind of making it more trustworthy, like Amazon.
Again, they're trying to do it. They're trying to be Amazon.
It's smart. It makes a lot of sense.
Which is smart because they have all the reach. So.
Okay, but you're using Zendrop to like search and find products
to fulfill the orders. So they're basically the supplier. That's how I'm finding them by just again, like I showed you on TikTok Shop. I'll look.
Sorry. How do you source a product? So say you find the product you want to use, and then you have to.
You need to get the supplier for it, right? That's pricing. Okay. That's through Zendrop. We have their pro plan. It's like $50, and we have a Slack channel with 15 employees from Zendrop. So we'll just send the link from AliExpress. We'll say, hey, we want this product sourced. Here's our target cost, and then they will get a supplier or
so
get
it's AliExpress.
No, that's just a reference point to say this is the exact product we want.
Gotcha.
Get us actual pricing with shipping.
Okay, so you see it on TikTok Shop. Then you go to Zendrop.
You look it up on AliExpress.
See, that's
and we get a link, and then we're like, yep, this is the one. And then we send it to our Slack channel for Zendrop and say, we need this product sourced.
Okay, perfect. Crystal clear now. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the product. Just one more point on this. What makes like a good product? Like, how are you identifying what to sell? Because you have years in the game, and I know this is almost like the most important aspect of dropshipping.
So a winning product is, I like to think of it as the audience you're selling to. So first thing, you have to pick of what sort of audience are you trying to sell to, how niche are you wanting to go. Personally, I don't like selling super hyper-focused niches. I like selling to anyone. If I can sell a product I can sell to women and female and any age, that's perfect because it's scalable. You can scale it to 20 to 50K a day. So that's first thing. I like to overall think of like what products or what overall categories can I sell in. So for example, women's beauty. Most women wear makeup. Most women have hair. And so, for example, hair curlers, we've done millions of dollars with those products. Like there's one you guys can all look up. It's this little wireless hair curler. You can put it in your purse and you can curl your hair in the car. That one did so well because, again, every girl wants to curl their hair. And if they can take it on the go because they're always late to get ready, they can do their hair in the car and they're good to go. And so those sorts of products that, number one, they solve a problem. And then number two, can be sold to the masses. That's all we pretty much look for. Obviously, there are some fine points, like we need good margins. It needs to have a little bit of a wow factor. Other than that, though, like that's pretty much it.
And you can like easily visually portray the value of the product.
That's another thing is like the value has to be instant. We've tried to sell products that maybe the value like supplements or certain serums that take months to get results. Those are typically harder to sell just because there's no, instant before and after.
So you seem to be, this is the niche you mentioned, beauty for women. Is there any reason why you've gravitated towards that?
So number one, women are easy to sell to. They're happier to spend money than guys. Guys, I had a tweet go viral where I posted my mattress setup and it was just a bed on the floor. Guys don't need a lot of stuff, but girls, they want to paint their face. They want to have their nails done. They want to do everything. And so it's just easier because girls are naturally bigger consumers. So that's why. But I'm not saying guy products don't work. We're actually selling one that we're starting, I believe, next week. That's a guy product. It's actually unisex, but mainly guys. And so we'll sell to both for sure. But guys, they need good deals or they need like a real reason to buy the product. Maybe it solves a good problem. But yeah, typically we sell to girls.
Like if guys are going to view it as like an investment where they expect
exactly.
an outcome.
They're more logical. Yeah. Girls are like, ooh, pretty.
I want it now.
You know?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's your ethos for a product. Let's just use a hair curler in context for this example since you kind of know about it.
Yeah.
So what was the video that you're having these creators make?
Yeah, so essentially it's just demoing the product. It's nothing fancy. However, this was years ago too, and the atmosphere has changed.